You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast. This is the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me at official Sam Little on Instagram. There's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast. And yeah, it's another big episode, a lot of talking points from the weekend. One game in specific that I'm sure you have probably heard a lot about, and I will not be talking about that game. I'm just kidding. Yes, of course I will be discussing Manchester City and Arsenal throughout this episode because, it was like the biggest game of the weekend. So yeah, I'm going to talk about it, guys. But first, it was actually a pretty good weekend to be a Canadian footy fan because firstly, Chouanier made his debut for Grasshoppers over in Switzerland. Not only did he make his debut, he scored on his debut. So a massive congrats to him. And of course, Jonathan David, a big clutch penalty from him in the last 7 or so minutes to salvage a point for Lille this weekend. 3-3, big game thriller. Alphonso Davies enjoyed a good weekend as well. Derek Cornelius remained on the sidelines. Not even on the sidelines, in the stands because of a pretty shocking suspension. And I mean shocking in the fact that he was suspended for a double yellow the other weekend. And, whatever. He remained in the sidelines, in the stands, sorry. But his teammate, both on an international level and club level, Ishmael Kone, was given his first start for Marseille. So big congrats to Ishmael Kone. Of course, all of Canada's rooting for this guy. We love him. How could you not? He's a phenomenal player, isn't he? In the MLS over this past week, it didn't happen this weekend. It happened earlier in the week, but Jonathan Osorio did pick up an injury. We're hoping it's nothing serious. Me, of course, as an Osorio fan, will also be hoping it's not serious. But some big international friendlies coming up in the next couple of months. We're going to hope he's not missing those, as well as crunch time in TFC season to try and secure a playoff spot. Hopefully, TFC's captain, we know how crucial he is for both club and country. Hopefully it's nothing serious. We love Oso here on the Maple Footy Podcast, so really hoping it's a speedy recovery for him. And one final thing, it was brought to my attention that last week when I was listing off all the players I had met at the Canadian All-State soccer event. Sorry, I know I said I'd never called soccer on this podcast, but that's what the event was called. I can't believe I forgot, but I had not mentioned that I had met Tristan Borges of Hamilton Forge, and just wanted to say that I did meet him, and he was seemed like a very nice man, and is having a great season with Forge at the moment. Forge who won on the weekend 3-0 as they continue to look for that first place spot in the CPL and have clinched playoffs for their offseason as well. So big weekend for Forge. And shout out Tristan Borges, who I now met over a week ago, and you were pretty cool. But what do we say? Prem time? I suppose so. Match of the weekend. Even if you don't think it was the match of the weekend, I can't choose anything else other than Man City and Arsenal because it provided us a lot of talking points, and I'm going to talk about it. Quite frankly. That's what you pay to see. Well, pay to hear. Although you don't pay. This is free. I'm a man of the people. But anyways, enough yammering. Yeah, where to even begin, really? I know a lot of people are going on about Arsenal's... Yeah, okay. I'm going to preface this by saying I despise Arsenal, so this is all probably going to come off extremely biased. But anyways, people were saying how valiant of a point this was for Arsenal. I think it's embarrassing for the league, for the team, for the players. I thought it was an embarrassing display at the Etihad post red card. Now, let me say, once you go a man down, I don't expect you to play this free-flowing football, right? because, Man City is a very good team. You should know better than to just go, well, screw it. We're going to one man down and we're going to take this fight to them. No. Obviously not. But you were a goal up, right? And you sit essentially almost playing 9 defenders, really. That's what they looked like. I know they're kind of playing a 5-4, but really, it was almost just basically a straight 9 guys plus their keeper. So make it difficult for City. I understand that, of course, but there was no option for counterattacks. When you're a man down, you have to launch counterattacks when you can, and there was definitely opportunities to do so. Now, that being said, Martinelli and Kai Havertz could not hold on to the ball to save their lives, even if they wanted to do a counterattack. But that's besides the point. Chelsea fans, we knew how bad Kai Havertz was, no matter how much we tried to gaslight ourselves into thinking he was good, because he scored a Champions League final winning goal. And Gabriel Martinelli is, he's definitely a winger. I can't say I rate him highly. Obviously, he is very talented, but I can't say he is someone that I rate to a high degree. But I just thought it was almost like Arteta conceding the fact that he kind of knows he's going to concede at some point and is just kind of hoping to make it as difficult as possible. And I think you can kind of see that. And the fact that there was no counterattack, they didn't want to leave themselves open at all. And I think in the end, I think it is, like I said, it's embarrassing. I know, once again, a man down, it's going to be difficult, but come on, you're not gonna try for a counter. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Man City, on the other hand, found it extremely difficult to break down what is essentially 9 men, especially with no De Bruyne, no Rodri. Very hard for them. Ended up kind of resorting to 25-yard pot shots, just hoping that maybe something would hit the target. Update, none of them hit the target. All fairness, the couple of chances they had outside of the goal, obviously, were saved pretty nicely by Raya. And I mean like the real chances, not like a wayward shot that was driven through like 12 Arsenal players and kind of nuzzled its way into Raya's hands with no fuss. No, I mean like there was probably 3 really good saves that he did make, so credit where it's due. And then, John Stones comes on, and I was literally sitting there like, that's a strange one. You're trying to get a goal. But hey, that's why Pep is Pep, because foot in my mouth, he scored the drawing goal. I was going to say the winning goal. It wasn't a winning goal. The drawing goal. And it's just very, I don't know, it's an interesting case study, because Bernardo Silva kind of summed it up perfectly of like when Liverpool kind of comes to the Etihad. I'm paraphrasing this, by the way. When Liverpool kind of comes to the Etihad, they go for the win. But they've won Champions League titles. They're winners, is essentially what he's saying, and is basically saying Arsenal aren't. And I couldn't agree more. Arsenal don't have the stomach to win this league. You see it every time something like this happens. They whine about the reffing. By the way, 100% a second yellow card. You would think you would have learned from Declan Rice. What are you doing, Leandro Trossard? If I was his manager, I'd be livid, quite frankly. I would be livid. But we're going to blame the ref for you guys giving it up. Okay. You waste time, kick shins, dive at any given possibility, and then inevitably City scores, and then you start complaining that, oh, well, there's it. No, they're not winners. I don't see them making it through this title race. I think it speaks to the fact that their fans are celebrating the fact that Rodri could have potentially torn his ACL, because their fans think it gives them a leg up in the title race. I think that speaks to just the mentality of the entire fan base and the club, because you're counting on a guy literally tearing his ACL to have a shot at winning this league. They're not good enough. I think they're an embarrassment, and I just can't see them winning this league, honestly. 5 games in, and you're parking the bus at the Etihad. Yes, you're a man down, but you're a goal up and you could spring counterattacks and you don't. It's just cowardly, gutless, pathetic performance, in my opinion. I know the vast majority will probably disagree with me, but to me, it's just a pathetic performance. And I seriously think they should hang their heads in shame. It was bad. It was really bad. Not saying Man City was a masterclass by no means, but I think it really does just show. It just shows the gulf in what champions do, like say a Liverpool or Man City, versus what pretenders do, like an Arsenal. 2 league titles in a row bottled, and then you do this, my opinion. But hey, let's move on. So let's look at the biggest winners of the weekend. You know what, guys? This feels nice because I have 2 lined up here. I do. One of them I'm very happy about. I am gonna say Chelsea are one of the biggest winners of the weekend. I know. Sam, what are you talking about? How? They beat a really bad West Ham side 3-0. I know. But this feels like a performance to build on. The first 5 games of our season, we've only lost to Manchester City. Everyone else we've drawn or beaten. And I think coming into this season, right, we were kind of written off immediately. And now pundits, I'm looking at you, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, and whoever else. Pundits are kind of changing their tune just a little bit. Maybe Chelsea can be serious. Now, I hold my hands up. Only 5 games in. Trust me, I'm not planning any parades for champions or nothing like that. No. But I think it does show that there is some potential here. We saw some very nice football from Enzo Maresca. Once again, a very, very poor West Ham side. Very poor. I will say that much. But we've now shown, Bournemouth last weekend, scrape a 1-0, just kept on fighting for that all-important goal. Christopher Nkunku comes up big last weekend with the goal. Jadon Sancho was unreal, as was actually Robert Sanchez, kept us in that game. And now this weekend, an emphatic 3-0, and it could have been more. I don't know, guys. I'm just saying it kind of shows that there is potential here in this Chelsea squad. Now, if Maresca can unlock it and run with it, is another story. But right now, I think it's a very positive feeling around the club. And now I know, yes, that could, with Chelsea, more than any team, we all know how quickly that can change. But right now, at the moment, I think it's a very positive moment for the club. This is something to absolutely build on. And we got Brighton and Hove Albion next in the league. Of course, we have a cup tie in the midweek. But I think it's a big win for Chelsea. And I think, like I said, it kind of shows that, hey, maybe there's something here. Once again, not trying to get too carried away, given that we are 5 matches in. But still, I think it shows there's potential here. But enough with the Blues, and let's opposite color it. Let's go to red. I don't think red's actually the opposite color of blue. I think orange is the opposite color of blue. But whatever. Point still stands. Liverpool, my other biggest winners of the weekend. Where their 2 title chasing counterparts, Arsenal and City, shared points. Liverpool maxed out on theirs, pushing them above Arsenal in the table and just 1 point off of City. Yes, once again, 5 games in. But these are the games, these are the times, I should say, where it matters to pick up the points. When your counterparts drop, that's when you have to pick them up. Obviously, Liverpool played before both teams, so it's not like it was like, oh, we need to win because City and Arsenal dropped. No, they played before. Their game was done and dusted by the time City and Arsenal decided to lace up their boots. But Liverpool getting the 3 points against Bournemouth And in all fairness, by the way, Bournemouth, this is a side note, side tangent. Who decided to sign Kepa for Bournemouth? Terrible signing. Anyways, bring it back. Come on. Liverpool, it's a big win for me, I think. It's a good way to rebound as well off of that Forest loss. I think that there was expectation against Bournemouth that it was like, you can't lose 2 in a row. And Bournemouth is a strong side. Now, I know they did rebound midweek in Champions League, but obviously different league competitions. It's a big bounce back, in my opinion. It's emphatic. It is extremely important in the title race. I know 5 games in, but how many times have we seen in the last, 5-6 years, the title being decided by a matter of 2 points? That's all I'm saying. So, in the context of the season, it could be big. That's all I'm saying, guys. That's all I'm saying. The biggest losers of the weekend, sorry, I retired that name, but with this one, it rings true. Arsenal, biggest losers. Not going to expand on it. I know, probably being extremely harsh on that one. Not expanding on it. Arsenal 100% biggest losers. Biggest underperformers now, going back to the new name that we've established. Underperformers, I already mentioned him. Kepa, I think, kind of helped cause the downfall of Bournemouth on the weekend, because I actually thought Bournemouth started out the game quite well against Liverpool. I think it could have been a much more competitive match had Kepa not been in goal. That first goal that Liverpool scores kind of sets the tone. The second goal, I don't fully blame him for. And then the third goal, while it is a nice shot and nicely placed by Nunez, I think any half-decent goalkeeper stops that, or at very least is in a better position to stop it. But that's Kepa. As a Chelsea fan, I watched him for 6-7 years, and each time I think took years off my life. So yeah, definitely an underperformer for the weekend. And they are no strangers to this list. Oh, no. Don't call it a comeback. They have been here for not years, but weeks. Everton. Yeah, it really, I know I'm going to echo what I've been saying the last bunch of weeks. This looks like it could be the year they go down, right? Like, it could be. Because a draw with Leicester, once again, giving up points from a winning position. I know this one's not as embarrassing as their previous two, where they were up 2-0 and lost both of those games. But still, from winning position, once again, you give it up to Leicester, one of your relegation battlers you will assume going forward. It's not shaping up to be a good year for Everton. This could be the year they go down. I won't expand on it too much more than that, as I feel like I'll be rehashing old ground. But yeah, Everton, definitely one of the big underperformers this weekend. Best performance. I am actually probably going to surprise some people. These guys were not goal scorers this weekend, but I do have two, and they play for my two biggest winners. First, Moises Caicedo. Yep. He's getting his flowers on the Maple Footy podcast. Absolutely. This guy's name is dragged through the dirt any given opportunity. And hey, I have been a critic of him at times for sure. But I have also given him his flowers when I feel as though he's deserved it. Obviously, I don't think I've ever given him his flowers on the Maple Footy podcast. But in my personal life, I've given him his flowers when he deserves it. And yeah, he looks a good player right now, doesn't he? Bossed the midfield against West Ham. Some of the passes he put through, the through balls, the fact that he's not afraid of the ball and passes it forward, unlike a certain other £100 million signing that plays for the red part of London. I won't say his name, Declan Rice, but hey, I have a midfielder that grabbed a great assist on the weekend. But yeah, I just thought he was unreal this weekend. He, like I said, just bossed the midfield. Really showed that he can kind of do almost everything. Great defensively, first to every loose ball. Won back possession really good. Looked nice and comfortable on the ball. Like I said, some great through balls. Just a real proper midfielder's performance that you want to see from Moises Caicedo, and it's been a great start to the season for him, and he has been very good, I would say, since about March of this year. I thought he had a very slow and stop-start season last year, and then kind of March-ish hit, and he kind of started to bring it together, and now these first 5 games, I think he's been great. So credit to him. He's one of my big performers, of the weekend. And my other one is Ryan Gravenberch of Liverpool. Arne Slot's got this kid playing well, doesn't he? Kind of what I just said for Moises Caicedo, kind of just copy and paste it for Gravenberch. I thought he bossed the midfield immensely for Liverpool. Not afraid, by the way, to carry the ball, which I think is definitely a trait that you want, especially from a young midfielder, and a young midfielder who's more deep lying. He isn't afraid to carry the ball, isn't afraid to be on the ball, unlike certain other midfielders that we have already established, whose names I won't say, Declan Rice. But I'm sorry, guys, the Declan Rice agenda, I'm sorry. But yeah, just a really great performance for him. He kind of flies under the radar in that Liverpool win because he didn't get any goals, no assists. But sometimes, as we know, the game is more than that. And I thought he looked great. Moment of the weekend, Arsenal giving it up in the final seconds. No, I'm not kidding. That was my moment of the weekend. I thought it was great. You thought I'd say literally anything? No, it's Arsenal giving it up. Yeah. Relegation zone, let's take a look at her. And guys, does anybody want to guess who's in the relegation zone? Did you guess Wolves, Everton, and Southampton? If you did, you're right. Like I keep saying for Wolves, I wouldn't be concerned. Southampton and Everton, I would be extremely concerned, as Everton are showing really no signs of positivity at all. I mean, these last few weeks, they've at least shown that they can score, but they haven't showed that they can hold on to a lead or defend all that well. Their keeper is shaky, and it doesn't instill you with a great confidence. Outside of Branthwaite, I don't really see much to write home about their defense either. So kind of more the same for Everton. Southampton as well. I just don't see the quality there. I really don't. It would be great to see them stay up, but they look, all due respect, they look like a championship side that's playing in the Prem. Then, of course, you have Ipswich right above them, who, once again, all due respect, but kind of look like a championship side in the Premier League. It would be great for them to stay up, for their fans and everything. And right now, they are hovering above that relegation zone. Early days in the season, though. And Leicester, Palace, West Ham are all also kind of in around that area. West Ham, I do expect them to kind of get their act together. If they don't, I would expect a managerial change extremely quickly. Leicester, I really do think you can flip a coin. They have the quality, but these are also the quality players that got them relegated 2 seasons ago. So you can flip a coin with them. And Palace, I really wouldn't worry. I don't see them being in any trouble of relegation. I'd be extremely shocked if we saw them in the bottom 3 come the end of the year. European spots, I mean, it's really the same, isn't it? I mean, United has kind of fallen out at this moment. I mean, once again, 5 games into the season. Take a shot every time I say blank amount of games into the season. Oh, my goodness. But 5 games into the season, they aren't looking great. They have moments of where they look pretty good, but they are not looking great. I do feel like they will turn it around. I'm not sure they'll get Champions League, but I do think that they will finish a European spot come the end of the season. Nottingham Forest in 8th is good to see. Undefeated this season so far. Yeah, Nottingham Forest undefeated this season. Good for them. They're doing really good at the moment, especially everything that the fan base has been through with all the point deductions and whatnot. It's good to see them kind of fighting back here, and currently in 8th on 9 points, undefeated. Yeah, that's not bad. Then you got Brighton, Newcastle just above them. Brighton, as predicted, have really fallen out. But Danny Welbeck, by the way, Ballon d'Or charge is on. Have you seen how good this guy's playing at the moment for Brighton? Yeah, who would have thought? Danny Welbeck at what? How old is he? Like 35 now? Rolling back the years, we're seeing prime Welbeck again. But in 5th, of course, are the Blues, Chelsea, and I do think that they will be finishing in the top 4 this year. And they're looking really good right now. Long season ahead, but hey, That's me knocking on wood. We'll hope for the best. Arsenal in 4th, I do expect them to kind of be more in that 1 to 3 range during the duration of the season. Villa also playing amazingly at the moment. Potentially a sleeper pick for Champions League spot. I know they got one last year, so it'd be cool to see them get back there. Liverpool and City, of course, are 1 and 2. Both teams looking as good as you would probably expect or want if you're a fan of those teams. Title race, as I've kind of already covered throughout this episode, it's looking pretty good at the moment. Looking pretty tasty. Pretty tasty. They are, really still those 3 teams, Arsenal, Liverpool, City. Although Villa are still there, I don't expect that to kind of be a theme throughout the season. I would say it's probably those 3. Liverpool and City, to me, are a cut above Arsenal, as I have been saying all season, though. With Liverpool, you don't really know what you're going to get because new manager and whatnot. But City, you kind of do know what you're going to get. I know Rodri, if it is true and he could be out for the rest of the season, that is a massive, massive blow. I know City's a great team, but Rodri is potentially their most important player. So it might not be good, but I still do think they do have the quality to be able to push on without him. Arsenal, I do think that they will be in the title race. As I've said, though, I don't think they have the stomach for it. We've seen it the last few seasons, and I think, once again, Sunday was a perfect example of that. And, of course, with all that being said, that will wrap up this week's episode of the Maple Footy Podcast. It was a pretty good weekend for football. I hope you caught some of the games. And if you didn't, you caught some of the highlights, hopefully. It was a good weekend, so definitely worth checking out any highlights if you missed. And, if you're choosing to listen to this instead of watching the highlights, I do appreciate that too. But I will be back, of course, next week for another Premier League recap, some Canadian news as well. And really until then, keep enjoying your football. I know there's some League Cup ties for certain leagues, obviously the Prem, and I just hope you're enjoying the season so far. I think it's been a pretty good start to the season, which is always nice. And outside of that, follow me everywhere you want, everywhere you can. Official Sam Little everywhere except for X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, where I'm _Sam Little. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate it. And until next time, cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates at Official Sam Little on Instagram, where I am most active. And until next time, live, laugh, little.